share with you a few of the recurrent questions that come up over and over again in the context of the pandemic and dealing with our employees. The first one is, frankly, leave issues. And with New York State creating new paid sick leave statute, also having a fairly new COVID leave statute, and with the potential applicability of the federal FFCRA, employers have a lot to keep their eye on. The FFCRA will expire at the end of the year unless extended by Congress. So that may drop out of the picture for some period of time. But if reauthorized or re-extended, come back, possibly even with retroactive effect. But you'll also need to keep your eye on the other forms of leave that are available from a paid leave perspective. Also to keep in mind are your existing policies and the availability of unpaid leave, especially at situations involving family leave in New York State or family and medical leave for the employee's own serious illness. Andy, some other thoughts on recurrent issues here?
Thanks, Pete. Yeah, so on today's webinar, the 15th of December, we covered those issues, and we also tried to focus on some of the things that employers could do to be proactive in addressing these issues that, again, seem to come up time and again. We talked about remote work and how it's a great thing and can work for some and in certain positions, but not for all. And more importantly, that the fairness and flexibility that we provide needs to go hand in glove with accountability and responsiveness too, and that a written remote work agreement can be a very effective tool to not only set expectations, but also have there be documentation of accountability and a process, just so everybody's clear on the front end. Pete, we talked about holiday travel and steps and measures that employers can take to address this issue. Obviously, it's a big concern as we work hard to control the infection rate and the spread of COVID. There are things that employers can do to be proactive on that front. We've worked with a number of them in terms of employee communications, and we also talk about the impact on potential eligibility for benefits as well. That can be addressed in the communication. There was more, Pete. I encourage people to watch the webinar to find more detail. One thing we closed on was non-COVID related, and we just wanted to remind people, not to lose sight of these other non-COVID things that are out there and that we need to keep track of. This includes taking a look at your employee handbook and the policies that you have in that handbook. There were a number of changes legislatively in 2020 that directly impact the terms and conditions of your employee handbook. And in some cases, such as with a reproductive health rights policy, we need to make sure that we have that policy in writing and incorporated into our handbook in New York. Things like voting leave, your sexual harassment prevention policy, your EEO statement, those are also areas that need to be reviewed and potentially amended.
Final thought here, and we've covered this multiple times, not necessarily today, but just to keep in mind your baseline discrimination and retaliation claim concerns. As we navigate this unprecedented environment, we have to keep those things in mind as well. There is a reasonable possibility that as we proceed, and frankly, when this is all kind of passed, that we see people coming forth and saying, look, I feel like I was targeted for discrimination or retaliation. So keep those in mind as well. Everyone, please stay safe out there. We'll talk to you soon.